I even have a little story about an old teacher that used to go here. His name is Chris Crasta. And ever since I was in kindergarten here, I always wanted to be an engineer. And every time I went to carpool, he always used to shut my door and say something in my window, something like, try your best to get into MIT. And at that point, I didn't know what MIT was, but he used to say it all the time. And when he said it, it kind of made me feel good inside. Hello, my name is Alan. I go to New Road School, and I'm in 5th grade. I do think people think about college my age a lot because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people at this certain age like to think about how their future is going to be. When I'm thinking about my schoolwork and my homework and how if I don't want to do it, I'll think about how if I don't do it, I won't have as bright of a future. So I think it will definitely set me up to be the best that I can be. And I think it might set me up for living by myself. I think that when you get into college, you might feel maybe a little homesick because you're living in your own dorm and you're not seeing your family as much. But I think it really shows how independent and it sets you up for later in life.
This family has built for us to help us navigate through the dark and unknown times. Because no matter if we split apart, we will always find our way back to our incredible community that I call family. No matter what path we take in life, we're all in this together.
From New Road School in Santa Monica, California, this is Village Voices, intergenerational conversations that cultivate an expanding curiosity about the world and its people. This is episode 2, College.
So I go to, UC Berkeley, and everyone's like, oh, the hippie school, which was a funny way of thinking of it back then. But I mean, the truth be told, I feel like that's kind of what I was and what I was embodying at that point in my life. I'm Larry, and I teach creative writing and journalism in the upper school and 7th grade English in the middle school here at New Roads. I looked up the number on the internet this morning because I knew I was going to talk to you. And I was one of 186, it turns out, according to the Alumni Association, who got arrested early in the morning outside of California Hall one day when we kind of started to put up the signs and say we needed to take our money out of South Africa. And, again, all this is kind of look-upable. They kept our names out of it, but they zip-tied us in the early morning hours, but other students were showing up to campus, and then they marched us to this sort of like sub-basement, below Sproul Hall, where they would kind of hold people for detaining them, because it was kind of like similar to Disneyland. They had their own kind of police unit on campus and their own police holding station. And we were kept there for a couple hours and in this uncomfortable space with the zip ties, and then they let us go. But that was sort of like the UC police sort of standing up to our action that day. And honestly, from that point forward, they never had a chance. The movement just grew and it grew and it grew to the point where there were thousands of people, and things started to matter, and famous folks started showing up on campus, and Mario came back to speak, and all of a sudden Berkeley was Berkeley, and it was like huge, and you were on Sproul Plaza and getting excited about the whole thing. And lo and behold, May, I think that year was when it started. Like a year later, in the summer of '86, it worked, and the UC system took their money out of South Africa, and Bishop Desmond Tutu came to the Greek Theater and thanked us in what was like a rock star moment at like this amazing outdoor amphitheater, and it kind of became that time, where going to Berkeley and being a part of the thing and, getting involved in the movement really made sense. And this year we just read Trevor Noah in our 7th grade English class. So to have like nostalgic feelings about that time period is probably like my best memory of my college experience. The freedom that you suddenly experience of, I live in my own place with other people who are just like me, all on the same adventure, who are all my age or maybe a year or two older or something, incredibly liberating. I mean, that kind of freedom is something that you only get a few times in your life. Your parents leave for the weekend in high school and you feel like you have the world, available to you. Imagine the feeling of going somewhere where the only thing you have to do, your only job, is to show up and take classes. And that's what you do. You go and you learn and you try and figure out things about things, but you're certainly not heading home at the end of the day and hanging up your clothes in the closet. For the record, my dorm room was very neat.
Hi, I'm Zaraya. I am a senior at New Road School, and I'm going to be talking about what it's like to get recruited to play college soccer. I played club soccer at a very high level, and so I wanted to play soccer in college. And playing a sport in college and looking at colleges through that lens is very different than just looking at it through an academic lens. And a big thing that was talked about when I was looking at college is that I'm the prize. I think a lot of the time and not to sound conceited, because now that I say that out loud, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we're kind of taught that the school, we have to get into the perfect school and it's just I don't know, the college seems to be the prize, and that's the way that it's marketed to us, and I feel it's talked about a lot. But my parents would always tell me no, the colleges want you, that's important part, and that was really crucial for me thinking about it, because I was if the college doesn't want me, then why would I want to put my time and energy into the college? College for me started in 10th grade. At the end of 10th grade, I was recruitable, which meant I had to start making highlight videos of putting together clips of all the soccer I had played and all the best, and sending it out to college coaches, finding what schools I was interested in. And in the beginning, it was such a wide range. I think I reached out to 30 different schools and was here's my highlight clip. I'm Zaraya, I go to New Roads, and this is a little bit about me. And then San Jose State reached out to us and was we loved you, come out to our campus. And I was what? And they were full paid flight, full paid hotel, full paid meals while you're here. It was everything. And 2 of the other girls on my team got recruited by the same school. So we all flew out to San Jose together. And it was so much fun. These girls, they just were we want you to have the college experience. And that was really my first time doing a campus visit. And it definitely San Jose State wasn't really the school I was looking at. I wanted smaller, and but just the experience of it was really great. We got there and we were staying in a really nice hotel, and then the next day we went and saw their practice, and then that whole day we went to their classes and hung out with the team, and the team was so nice, and was we invited us to stuff, and that night we went to a football game. That was my first ever football game, I think. I've never been to a football game before, and it was a college football game, and that was really exciting. And then we went and got boba at 12 a.m. just because we could, because they were we're in college, you can do whatever you want. Carlson was actually my top, that's where I'm going, but Carlson was actually my top school from the beginning. In sophomore year, I did a program with them, and I just loved the school, but I wasn't sure, I just thought, I just wanted to make sure that there was no other school that was a possibility, or no other one that I liked better. And when I went to Carleton, the soccer team was just so nice. I mean, I went twice for 2 of their soccer camps, and the second time I went, the freshmen on the team who I would literally be playing with next year, they we stayed up till 2 a.m. just talking about our lives in the dorm rooms, and we went and visited other people's dorm rooms and met a bunch of people, and they wanted me to just meet as many people as possible, and everyone was just so welcoming, and and the girls who I'd seen the first time I went on the trip like remembered me, and that just felt like really good. Like I just felt very wanted and like embraced. I'm just so excited to learn so much more. Like I'm going to take women and gender studies. That's like what I want to major in. I'm just so excited to like learn about the theories and be pushed. And like one of the things that drew me to Carleton is that they have a lot of discussion-based classes. I'm just so excited to be in a space where I'm talking to people that I've like never met before, and they're like from all across the country, and there's like a pretty like decent like international like student population as well. And like hearing all these different ideas, like I'm just so excited to be like surrounded by that and like be around different types of people. I'm like very ready for a change.
I kind of laugh. Yes. um, uh, there's been a lot of surprises. Every day in New Roads is different. Hello, my name is Jack Evergreen, and I'm the upper school counselor for New Roads. Well, my role here as the upper school counselor is to work with students to identify barriers that may be getting in the way of their academic performance, as well as to provide support socially and emotionally. When I was in college, way back in the day, no, when I was an undergraduate, I did a lot of civic engagement work, and I'm very much so community outreach centered. And so I started off at the African Refuge Youth Center, and it was an after school program, but I noticed that it would be beneficial to have more assistance in place to help the families and the kids we were working with. So I started something called My Little Sister's Mentor Program, where I worked with college students and the Civic Engagement Program to collaborate with community partners to provide mentoring services to predominantly African from Liberia in Park Hill homes. Well, of course, I cannot share the personal stories of students, but there have been many moments that I have been able to see the tenacity and the resilience and the brilliance of the amazing students that we have here, where they have experienced struggles in life. In my office, I always really work to normalize the ebbs and flows of life that that is so rich here at New Roads. But to normalize that loss is a normal part of life that happens to many of us. Change is a normal part of life. And to really work with the students to help them prepare for that or to go through that. And there have been many students that I've worked with since I have been here who have had some really tough challenges that came their way, but they just kept on going forward. I continue to work with them and connect with them, and they were able to have challenges, but still to prevail in their life and to reach their goals. So that is definitely life-changing and amazing for me.
Hello, it's nice to meet you. So I'm an 8th grade teacher at New Roads, and we just started this project where we're getting different people from across the New Roads community to tell stories. And it's interesting because this episode is about college. And when Alan's 5th grade teacher asked, "Hey, does anybody in here have any thoughts on college?" He didn't expect anyone to say anything, but Alan said, "I do." And I ended up interviewing him, totally separate from this. I interviewed him, and he did such a great job. He told this great story, and he's going to be the first voice featured. And then when Candace today got me in touch with Issa, I saw the last name, and I said, "Oh, this was meant to be."
Well, my name is David Hugo Barrett. I'm the grandfather of Alan Hugo Barrett. I went to Delaware State College in 1961 after graduating from high school in Newark, New Jersey. At the time, the catalog said Delaware State College for Negroes, which means that it was, before it was called an HBCU, it was just a college for Negroes. Delaware State I had, first of all, I had never been around so many smart Black people. Step one. Number two, I had more Black teachers at Delaware State than I had the entire time that I was in public school in Newark. I decided to major in mathematics because I was always good in math. Didn't have any idea what I was going to do with it, but I knew that I wanted to do something that involved mathematics. And that's what I wound up doing, teaching first, then ultimately programming missile fire control systems under contract with the U.S. Navy. And then ultimately, I wrote with two other guys a simulation model for the approach landing test of the shuttle before the shuttle was the shuttle. Because as I tell the audiences I speak before, what's more important than going into space is what they say, well, coming back. There is a lesson that I'd like to pass on to young people. When I was in my freshman year at Delaware State, one of my professors, as I was walking across campus with her, asked me if I'd be interested in a full scholarship in chemistry, a DuPont scholarship. I told her that I was a math major, that I liked chemistry, which was, of course, I was taking from her at the time. I said, but math, I have to study harder for chemistry than I do for math. So I decided I was not going to take that scholarship. I didn't discuss it with anybody. I just made a decision, my 19-year-old know-it-all self. However, in hindsight, and I came across, I started reflecting on this. I wrote a memoir, which I published in 2019. And in the process of writing that memoir, I began thinking about decisions that I made that were ultimately life-altering. Had I taken that scholarship, it's possible that I could have double majored, even if it took me another semester to complete my degree. It wouldn't have cost me anything. It would have been free, on the one hand. On the other hand, had I not gone to Rutgers, Issa wouldn't be sitting where he's sitting now. Alan Hugo wouldn't exist. I wouldn't know this lady whom I married. I mean, there are lots of things that would not have happened had I taken the fork to the left. But instead, I took the fork to the right, and now we're talking. So the lesson that I learned from that I pass on to young people is do not make a life-altering decision without consulting with someone else who has a stake in your future, such as your uncle, your mom, your dad, whoever it is who invested in you to get you to college should share in that decision. Not that you have to do what they say, but at least get their input. There might be some wisdom you can gain from their perspective.
Esau, what did your dad give you advice for college when you were going through the college process?
You know, when I graduated from Hampton, Dad gave me a really nice wristwatch. And I remember him telling me it's a Tag Heuer. It was black and old gold, same colors as Alpha Phi Alpha, the fraternity that he inspired me to become a member of, right, at Hampton. And when he gave me the watch, I remember him really emphasizing that I had earned it. That this is something that is a high value, but it's a total reflection of what you have brought to the family, to obviously your own experience here at Hampton. He's the one who dropped me at Hampton. We drove down 95 to 64 in August of 1989 with too many clothes and too much crap, as I would learn. 2 trunks on that Jeep Cherokee. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
2 trunks. Anyway, very memorable day, driving onto the campus and just reflecting on that now, going obviously forward 4 years to 1993, May 93, where he gave me that watch at that hotel. And I just remember really believing in myself more than I had. It was like a full circle moment.
Today's episode featured Alan, Issa, and David Barrett, Larry Friedman, Zaraya Jordan, and Jack Evergreen. Original music by New Roads students Isaiah Brody and Barry Moore, and New Roads teacher Ruben Ramos. Production by me, Dan Kearney. I'm also the grade 8 history teacher here at New Roads. Be sure to tune in next time for more Voices from the Village of New Roads School.